Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 336 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me this week. To say that I DNF'd, did not finish, the Cool Moon 50 race is not giving anything away, really. Well, it gives how I finished or did not finish the race, obviously, but it's not really telling the whole story. It's not like I'm spoiling it for you. There's not a whole lot of suspense in it. It only tells a little bit of what happened, and I'm going to go over the whole race step by step, and I'm going to tell you all about my entire weekend and what lies ahead for me, because my feelings and thoughts have changed about what's going to happen with my running and the future. So you'll want to hear all about it. I have so much to talk about, and I'm very excited about what's going to be happening to me, and I want to share it all with you. So I left for Auburn. I was going to start in Auburn and get ready for my race, and I left on the Friday. And as I'm leaving, I'm pulling my suitcase, and I'm getting ready to go to the airport to pick up my rental car. I don't own a car, and I always rent cars at the airport because if you rent them from the rental cars here in downtown San Francisco, sometimes they run out of cars. Like the old Seinfeld episode where Jerry goes to rent a car and they run out of cars, which is a very funny episode like Seinfeld is. But at the airport, they never do. So I always go to the airport, even though it's kind of a pain in the neck to take BART and get over there. It's always better, and I never want to be afraid of not getting a car. So anyway, as I'm leaving my apartment, my suitcase, which is old, granted, but I thought it would make it, the handle breaks on it as I'm leaving. Oh no! So I transferred everything from the suitcase into a camping bag, a big bag that I use for camping gear, and it was fine. I took that. I used that actually on my last trip instead of my suitcase, and it's fine to take. Everything fits in it nicely. It's just I have to carry it, and it's a little heavy, but it worked out okay. Thank goodness my suitcase didn't break like on BART or on my way to BART. That would have been just really awful, and I would have had to buy something on the way to Auburn. But it was good timing anyway. At least I had left. But it was very auspicious to start my trip having to transfer everything over to the bag. So I picked up my vehicle. I always rent from Alamo, and I always get an SUV. And I don't have anything with Alamo. They are not a sponsor or anything. I just really like them a lot as a rental car company. They've just been very, very good to me. And they're maybe a little bit more than a thrifty or dollar, but I'll tell you, price is not the only reason to buy from a company, a rental car company anyway. When I got there Friday morning, there was no line, so I went right up to the front, got my paperwork to go out to the garage to pick up my car, and I went past the thrifty dollar counter, and there was a huge line of people, just a massive line, like 30 or 40 people in line. And I said, well, you guys all rented your car by the price. If you would have paid a little bit more money, you would have your car by now. But, oh well. See, there's other criteria that you should take in mind than just the price, in my opinion anyway. And Alamo has always been very good to me, so I'm going to stick with them. And this was no exception. The SUV, it was a Mitsubishi Outlander, and I really liked it. As far as the Cool Moon race, I completely misunderstood. I completely underestimated how difficult this race is. People told me it was difficult, but you don't really get it if you haven't been at that location and been on those trails before. The trails up in Auburn are completely different than the ones I'm used to, and that's unfortunately not having a car, not having a vehicle. I couldn't go up there and practice on those trails. Before the race started, though, I very much enjoyed talking to the other runners and meeting Martin Sengo in person. He's a delightful person. He puts on a spectacular race. It was very well run, very well organized. Everything was marked very clearly. It was a wonderful race as far as everything like that goes. It was just a great race. If you want a very difficult but very good race, this is your race. This is a really, really well-run race, very reasonably priced. Everything was good as far as that goes. I didn't expect it to be so hard as it was. And it was hotter than the temperature forecasted. It was a lot harder, like 10 degrees hotter than the, than inaccurate or AccuWeather, or InaccuWeather, as I call it, said it was going to be. The countryside up there, it's in Cool, California, which is just a little bit south on Highway 49 from Auburn, is made up of very big, steep hills, rolling hills, lush woods with lots of poison oak, and a rushing river at the north end of the first loop. And I don't know what the second loop is because I never made it to the second loop. I just got stuck on that first loop. So after about 4 miles on the first loop there, which is really, really neat, I saw this huge doe, this big deer. This doe just jumped out in front of me and ran across the trail. That was really cool. But then I'm going on the trail. It was really, really neat, and I was enjoying it very much, and got to the first hill, and it was shaded, but it was so steep, and it went on forever. And I said, okay, I got up to the top of it, and you get on the part where you go on the Western States Trail for a little while, uphill, the opposite direction. And I did that a little while, and I said, okay, this is okay. I can do this again. If I have to come back, if that's the huge hill everybody talks about, I can do this again. This is not a problem. But then you go downhill, and the thing is that this is a fire trail, but it's not a fire trail that I'm used to, because the fire trail is all rocks. There's no smooth part at all. It's all rocky and really hard to walk on, because at this point I was walking, I wasn't running at all. So it's not even a fire trail I can run on, because the fire trails I'm used to are a little smoother. They're not 100% rocks. This was all rocks. So I get down to the bottom of this hill, and then what's called Pig Hill is all straight up, and it's exposed in the heat, and it was so hard. This hill broke me. It was so, so hard. And I got to the top, and I said, no, there's no way I'm going to do this loop again. There's no way. Maybe I can get halfway and do the other loop and then finish at least with 25 miles. And then I started to get ankle cramps. I've had them before. They are just so difficult and so hard to handle and just hurt so much. And I just kept shaking out my ankles and kept going, because there was no place to stop. That was another thing that was really hard with this race, is that at least there's other places I've gone, there are rocks to sit on, there are benches, there are logs even to sit on. Even in the bootleg boogie, there were rocks. You crawl over rocks, and the course is difficult at bootleg, very, very difficult, but not as difficult as this one. There was no place to sit, no place to even just catch your breath. I leaned on my trekking poles. Thank God I had them, more times than I wished, because there was just no place to catch your breath, no place to get at least a moment's rest at all. No place at all. That water station at the top of after Pig Hill that was wonderful. It was unmanned, but that was really, really nice to see. That saved me for a little bit. Then I got to there's the aid station, I've forgotten the name of it, that connects both this first and second loop. That was really nice to go to, and I got to see Charlene, and that was nice to talk to her. Oh no, she was a Pig Hill aid. That's right. Anyway, I got to see Charlene at one of the aid stations, and then I got to, Or I guess she was at that one anyway. I'd forgotten. But I got to see her, so she's a really, really good friend of the show, so it was nice to see Charlene. And I got to the last aid station there, and then I asked how long till, to get back down to the cool, to the start, and it was 4 miles, and that 4 miles took forever. I swear to God, that was the longest 4 miles I've ever done in a race. And it wasn't flat, it was hard up and downs, again. And I swear to God, the first loop is like 90% uphill, 5% downhill, and 5% flat. I don't know how physics can do it, but it did it. I swear it was so difficult. And what was neat about it was the first part of it, I would say, like, the first half, everyone's going, "Good." Everyone passing me because everyone passed me, trust me. Even people doing the 100 loop, they passed me. People doing the 100K, they passed me. And, of course, everyone doing the 50 mile, they were way far ahead of me. They all said, "Oh, good job, good job." And then the last part of it where I was dying, I felt like I was dying, everyone said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm just going slow." Anyway, I got done, and I got back to the start, and I just DNF'd. And I don't feel bad about it at all. I did my best. I pushed myself as hard as I could. If I'd have known it was difficult as it was, I would not have signed up for it, and I know that now, but that's okay. I pushed myself past my limit, past what I thought I could do. So I really, really did as well as I could. This was the hardest race I've ever done. This was way harder than I thought, and I, my body said, "That's it. You're done." It was just a really, really cool race. I don't feel bad about DNFing. I wanna congratulate everyone who finished it because they're superstars in my book. They rock, and the whole race rocks because it's so well done and so well presented. Martin does an amazingly spectacular job. All the volunteers are superstars. All the runners are superstars. Everyone is just wonderful in this race. It was really, really great. I'd like to go back there on my own and just do a leisurely hike and a run and just take my time and just do some of the course. Not all of it, but some of it would be nice. Going back to the hotel, that's when I started getting cramps. And see, if you've gone on Highway 49, and that's through the gold country in California, it's a beautiful drive. If you start like in Nevada City or even Auburn and go south on 49, this is a truly, I'm getting a cold today. I got back from Tahoe last week and I'm getting a cold. So yay. Anyway, this is a truly historic part of California. This is where gold was discovered just south of Cool. And if you take a drive down 49, you can see some of the most historic and beautiful parts of California. And this part here, if you drive north on 49 from Cool to Auburn, it's a very windy road and it takes a lot of concentration. And you go down, you lose elevation because you go down to the river. It's the North Fork of the American River. I need to say that. Anyway, you go down to the North Fork of the American River, and then you go back uphill on this windy, windy road and to Auburn. It's a hard road to drive, especially when you're not used to it. It's even harder if you get cramps in your thighs, and I did. And it's like, "Oh gosh, you really have to come now? Do you really, really have to come when I'm driving on this road?" So I had to pull off. There's some places you can pull off, and I had to pull off, and I had my trusty, CBD roll-on with me, which is a lifesaver, let me tell you. I always have this with me. I even carried it with me in my running vest if I needed it. I couldn't get it out fast enough for my ankles, but I did have it with me had I gone on farther in the race, but I didn't need it then. But I needed it when I was driving, so I rolled it on, and that really helped. And then I had to wait for the cramps to subside, and then I carried on. So it was really, really difficult and a very hard place to drive, but I did manage to get back to Auburn. And then, of course, I had my obligatory In-N-Out double cheese and chocolate shake, which I always try to have after a race if there's an In-N-Out in the area. I love that place. That was the race, so that was race day. And then, see, I had planned to do the whole thing, obviously, and I had a lot of gear that I didn't need or use because I didn't go the whole way. So that's what took up a lot of space in my bag. It would have taken up a lot of space in my suitcase, and I didn't need it. But that's okay. That's all right. If I had gone the whole way and didn't have it, I would have been in bad luck. So I'm glad I had it. So the next day, I drove up to Lake Tahoe because I was going to stay in because I did stay in South Lake Tahoe for a few days. And I had a lot of extra time because I thought I was going to not have that time because I was planning on sleeping in because I was going to do the race late into the night. But because I didn't do that, there you go. I had all this time. So I drove a little bit around the lake, around the east side, and saw some things and stopped a little bit and saw some sights. And then I enjoyed the beautiful weather and the views, and I had a lunch at a little burger shack in South Lake Tahoe and had probably the best shake I've ever had in my life. It was really good. I was starving. I was really, really hungry for my leftover from my race. I checked into the hotel and got some stuff just to keep there. And Monday, I drove to Bodie Ghost Town. I've never been to Bodie. And if you've never been there, it's really, really cool. You go down Highway 395. It's just south of Bridgeport, and it's really not a far drive from Tahoe. It's very close. It's very doable. And I was there for a couple hours. It's a very, very cool place. I had never been there before, so it was really, really fun to be there and to see everything. And that was really nice. And the weather was beautiful. The weather in Tahoe was warm. It was in like the 80s all weekend. Through the week, I was at Lake Tahoe till Wednesday. And it was gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful weather. The thing with South Shore, especially all of Lake Tahoe, but especially South Shore, is that it gets so crowded with people. So many tourists, so much traffic. I would not want to stay there again. If I'm going to stay in Tahoe again, it's going to be the North Shore. It's just so many people, so much traffic. It's kind of frustrating for me to drive in there. I don't like driving in traffic. So city driving isn't a whole lot of fun. Highway driving is really fun, but that is not. But let's see. So then Tuesday, I went on a hike in Genoa, Nevada, and Genoa is the oldest town in Nevada. It's really cool. It started by the Mormons in the 1800s, or I believe. And there's tons of hiking trails outside of there that go up the side of the mountains in the Sierra Nevada, and you can get to the Tahoe Rim Trail from there. It's really neat. There's a lot of connecting trails there. I didn't go up that far. I went up a couple miles, 2 miles, and came back down. But you can get a real nice workout from there, and you can see the whole Nevada Valley, Nevada side from up there. And it doesn't get super crowded like a lot of the trails in the at Lake Tahoe do. If you do some of the trails straight out of Lake Tahoe, you're never going to be alone. You will always be with other people hiking, and that's fine if you want. I remember when I hiked Echo Lake, there was never a time when I was alone. There was always people hiking all over. You don't get a sense of quiet. Well, there's all those cabins around Echo Lake too, so it's not really an ideal place to hike. But these trails out of Genoa are really, really nice. It's just a beautiful place to be. And then I met up with some old friends who've moved to Carson City. I think I have like 9 or 10 friends who've moved out to Reno Sparks in Carson City. And these are 3 of my oldest friends that I've known for a very long time. And it was really, really nice to meet up with them. And you know, when you meet up with old friends who know you, who you just feel relaxed around, it's just comforting. There's few things more comforting than being around some of your dearest friends, and you can just let all your guards down because they know all your stuff, and they know they know everything about you. They know where the bodies are buried, let me tell you. And it was really nice to have lunch with them. We ate at this place called Sassafras in Carson City, and what a great place to eat. Oh, food was delicious. I had salmon tacos. Oh, they were really good too. And it was just very nice to spend the day with them. And we talked about me moving up there, and yeah, that's it. I was thinking of moving to all different places, and it's narrowed down. I am going to be moving up to either Carson City or Reno, and my friends are gonna help me find a place when I am ready, which will be in 2 years. I'm gonna retire in 2 years. I'll be 68, and I'll be ready to go up there. I'll have the financial capability to do it, and I will be ready. And then Wednesday, I drove back to SFO, and I took the long way around. I didn't go 50. You can go all kinds of ways from Tahoe. I did take 89 to 88 and went out 88 through Stockton and then went that way back to SFO. And that's a lovely drive. I like that way a lot. It gave me some chance to see some different sites. I drove through Hope Valley, which has a lot of memories for me. We used to camp up there, and it brings back a lot of stuff, some melancholy stuff, but it also brings back a lot of cool memories that I thought about on my drive. And that was nice. The hotels were all right. I do miss the days pre-COVID when the hotels cleaned up the rooms every night. I have to say that my hotel in South Lake Tahoe, I was there 3 nights, and they didn't clean up the room at all in all 3 nights. So by the time I left Wednesday, it looked, oh my God, it looked horrible. It was like, I wish they had at least cleaned it up after the second night. That would be nice if I would have come back and it would be clean. And I don't really like that. I think the next time I'm gonna check into a hotel or find out about using a hotel, I'm gonna ask how often they clean the rooms, because if they don't clean the rooms in unless you're there for more than 3 nights, I'm probably not gonna stay there. I think that's kinda icky, personally. So, yeah, that's gonna be a prerequisite of mine. But I don't think I'm gonna stay in South Lake Tahoe again, as I mentioned before. That was my first time actually staying right in South Lake Tahoe. I stayed at Camp Pendleton before, at the resort there. I'm not gonna stay there either because they just don't have enough services for me, but it was interesting when I did stay over there. The Foothills Motel in Auburn wasn't bad. The room was really, really small, and the mattress was way too soft for me, so I kinda didn't sleep very well. So I probably won't stay there either, although the owner was really, really kind. He was really nice, and he was very cool. So if you like soft mattresses, you don't mind a small room, it's a really great place to stay. Now, this is the last trip for me, at least until next year. I need to pay off a credit card and stash a ton of money away. So traveling doesn't help that. I am going to retire in a couple of years, so I need to think about that. I won't be racing for a while, with the exception of the turkey trot on Thanksgiving. I would love to do the 5-mile distance, which is timed. The 3-mile isn't, which I've been doing the last few years because I really didn't care about it, but I kinda like to be timed. I'd like to see how I do in a 5-mile. So that's gonna be my only focus as far as running goes. So I'm gonna keep running, gonna keep doing my thing, but probably not long distances. And I'm gonna run for pleasure and just focus on that and losing weight and getting stronger, because I was shocked to realize how weak my left arm and shoulders still are, so I have to get them a little stronger. So, let's see. So save money for retirement, still run, no trips, or no big races, and getting stronger. That seems like good goals, right? That's not bad goals to have. So, I'm also going to have a few different shows that offer different perspective and some ideas that you won't find in other running podcasts in the coming weeks. So maybe you agree with them, maybe you don't agree with them. I don't know. I'm going to offer, like I said, some different things and that have to do with running. And so that you can find your own voice and you can find your own thoughts, because not everybody agrees on everything. So why do we all have to present the same thing? Why does each running podcast have to do the same thing, right? So we should do different things, correct? I think so. Why not? All right, so that is today's show, and thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. I always appreciate you listening. The website is martharunstheworld.com, and if you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. And on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.